Charles Dana Gibson lived between the years 1867 and 1944. Young Charles learned silhouette cutting from his father at the age of 8 during a childhood illness. To the encouragement of his parents, his abilities improved, granting him entry into the elite art students league in Manhattan during his high school years. It was where he first took to pen and ink illustration. The money ran short after 2 years, however, and Charles left the league to search for employment. Life magazine foresaw promise in his work and bought The Moon and I for $4 in 1886. The new professional celebrated with a 75-cent chicken pot pie. From that point, Gibson's career propelled forward, and in only 2 years he was also illustrating for Scribner's, Harper's, Tidbits, later named Time magazine, and other mass publications. Gibson made headlines in 1904 when he signed a $100,000 4-year contract with Collier's magazine for 1,000 illustrations. In the meantime, maintaining exclusive rights to his work and continuing to illustrate for the other magazines. From the records, we know Gibson was earning $75,000 annually before the peak of his career. Gibson illustrations exhibit magnetic, bold, and long line strokes that flowed from his elbow and shoulder versus the wrist. Captions often accompanied his illustrations, which gave his work the feel of a short story. He was a master at portraying human expression, ranging from a subtle look to mass reaction, and he forsook the feast of political issues before him for social commentary, poking fun at the upper echelon, to which ironically he belonged as his success grew. In one of his books, The Education of Mr. Pip, his daughters and their suitors coax an oblivious Mr. Pip into social adventure. America and the world poured over his steady contributions where every face counted. The rising middle class could peek into a visual world to which they were aspiring. Gibson's most celebrated subject matter, an all-American girl dubbed the Gibson Girl, was his portrait of the ideal woman of the time. While she captured the heart of the Gibson man at her side, the world swooned too. In her book, America's Great Illustrators, Susan E. Meyer described her with these words: "She was taller than the other women currently seen in the pages of magazines, infinitely more spirited and independent, yet altogether feminine. She appeared in a stiff shirtwaist, her soft hair piled into a chignon, topped by a big plumed hat. Her flowing skirt was hiked up and back with just a hint of bustle. She was poised and patrician. Though always well bred, there often looked a flash of mischief in her eyes." Plays, songs, and a movie honored this favorite girl. Folks bought Gibson's images in large coffee table books and on pillows, ashtrays, wallpaper, china plates, fans, and on furniture. Her fame paralleled modern-day Mickeys and Barbies, and her presence lingers today. When during World War I, President Woodrow Wilson realized neutrality was no longer a viable tact for the country, he enlisted Gibson to assemble a group of fellow artists who would use their talents to promote the war. With widely circulated propaganda posters and other published illustrations, the Division of Pictorial Publicity, headed by Charles Gibson, steered American hearts to a pro-war attitude and mass effort. After World War I, Gibson girls were pushed aside by popular illustrations of flappers. America turned its eyes from a select few in high society as the country celebrated victory collectively and screamed ahead with fast cars, jazz music, and all the post-war fixings. Charles Gibson, ever loyal to his first employer, bought Life magazine at auction in 1920 and ran it until 1932. At 65 years of age, Charles Dana Gibson retired to a family life and painting, his lifelong dream on Penobscot Bay, Maine.